Let's look at question 2.2. In this question, it states, in this section, only Delphi programming code may be used for these questions. No marks will be awarded for SQL statements. So that's an extremely important statement. We cannot write any SQL statements to answer these questions. The user interface is as follows. There's 3 buttons. One is for temporary employees. The second one is add an employee. And the third one is update deductions. And we need to write the codes for each of these buttons. So let's look at question 2.2.1. And in this question, we are required to code and display the surname. We need the first name, and we need the number of children of all the temporary employees. So that's a restriction. We only want it for the temporary employees, and we are working with the employee table. So let's quickly look at what the employee table looks like. So there it is. So this is the employee table, and we want to display the surname, the first name, and we want the number of children, but we only want the number of children for the temporary employees. So this tells me permanent, whether the person is permanent or not, and this gives us the number of children. So we're looking for where permanent says false. If permanent is false, it means that the employee is temporary, in which case we want to display the number of children. And there's another false, we want to display the number of children. So that's the code that we need to now try to write. We want to go to the first record in this table, and we want to then loop through all the records, checking to see that the person is a temporary employee, that is, the permanent field is set to false, and if it is then set to false, then only display the number of children. So let's try and write the Delphi code for that. Okay, so the first thing you need to do in the data when you're working with the database is let's go to the first record. So we're going to say TBL employees dot first. That will take me to the first record in the table. Now we need to loop through all the records. So we need to create our loop, which is while not TBL employees dot end of file do begin. You could also use a for loop in which you could have said for I assign the value 1 to TBL employees dot count. There is a field, or there is a property called record count that counts the total number of records in the table. So that could have been an alternate solution. So now that we are looping through each of the records, we are now going to check to see if the employee is temporary. So we're going to go to if TBL employees, that's the table name, and I want to access the field called permanent. So that's the field, permanent, and I want to check if that is equal to false. And if that is false, then only, I now want to display. So we will say begin, and we will now display using our rich edit. So we're going to say red Q2, which is the name of the rich edit, dot lines dot add, and we want to now display the surname. So we're going to go to, I'll start here, and we're going to go to TBL employees, and we'll display the surname. And then I will leave a tab space, which is a #9. And then let's display the first name, TBL employees, and the field is called first name. Again, a tab space. And finally, I want to display the number of children. And remember, that was an integer field. And I now need to convert that. I'm going to go int to string. And now I'm going to have TBL employees. And the field there is called children. Children. And I'm going to close that bracket. And I'm going to close the opening bracket for the readout. And then we're going to end the if statement. This is going to be the end. Let's move that screen a little up. And there's the corresponding begin. And then finally, I need to go to the next record. So we're going to say TBL employees dot next. And now we can end the while loop. Like that. What I sometimes find many students do is the if statement is written and the next is put inside of an else statement. And that's incorrect. By putting this inside of an else statement, it means you're only moving to the next record when the if statement fails. So whether the if statement fails or the if statement is true, after that, you still want to move to the next record. So that is how you would go about solving question 2.2.1.